That one glorious word represents more than just the geography between the Sabine and the Rio Grande. It represents a unique idea and way of life. A life of rugged individualism, proud self-reliance, gritty toughness, and fierce independence. That is what made Texas, and that is what will save her again. Howdy, folks. Sam Houston here. I want to thank you for tuning into the Feed Bandit podcast. Feed Bandit is the Texas first outdoors brand built by rabid Texans, for rabid Texans, and all those who aim to be one someday. We unapologetically promote the ideals that shape our Texas pride and Texas first patriotism through our love of hunting, the outdoors, and the gear and apparel we create. Texas, above all else, preserve the tradition, protect the legacy. Check us out at feedbandit.com. And to repeat that great rallying cry from a former colleague of mine, liberty or death. Now, enough of my talking. Here are a couple of bandits that love Texas as much as I do. Enjoy.
Howdy, friend. Welcome back to the Feed Bandit podcast. Jimmy back with you. And on this one, we're going to do sort of a potpourri type episode, as I have found 4 articles that I think would be of interest to go over with you. Coincidentally, they're all from our favorite newspaper called the Lone Star Outdoor News. Highly suggest you go out and get yourself a subscription. It's not expensive at all, but you can get an official, newspaper actually delivered to your house. It's still kind of cool to have actual physical, in color, paper that you can read through at your leisure. But the first article I wanted to go over was about this issue that's happening down around, in this particular article talking about around Port Mansfield. And it's having to deal with a problem evidently they're having with Nilgai. I don't know if you've ever hunted that. I never have had one or have hunted one. It would be kind of cool to go after one, but evidently they've become quite the nemesis, quite the problem down there. Kind of like we went over, I don't know, probably a month or two ago. I talked about how Texas has opened up helicopter hunting. Excuse me, God, my brain just went blank. Helicopter hunting for aoudad because they become a nuisance. Well, let's you might find this of interest, and maybe you can inquire about doing something about it. But it's called culling for cash. And it goes, no, it's no secret that wildlife is part of the Port Mansfield landscape. White-tailed deer, turkeys, feral hogs, caracaras, and other birds can be seen on any given day, some inside the perimeters of the port and some in the outskirts. The non-native Nilgai antelope, the largest of the game animals, is also a common resident. But the presence of these animals, some of which can weigh up to 700 pounds and stand 4 to 5 feet tall, has become a concern for the town of some 200 permanent residents and for hundreds of visitors during the summertime and on weekends for most of the year. That concern has led to conducting discussions on what to do with the rising number of Nilgai and the potential health hazards, as they are known to carry the fever tick. In light of that, the Willacy County Navigation District sought the assistance of a number of organizations to cull the Nilgai population. It involved the U.S. Border Patrol, the USDA, the Texas Health Animal Commission, TPWD, and nearby ranches. An aerial survey using BP drones revealed something port officials suspected but were not sure about. And here's a quote. "We knew the Nilgai population was growing and growing," Eric Kennedy, WCND board chairman, said, "but we were surprised by what we saw." End quote. He said the night surveys revealed herds of Nilgai on both the north and south sides of the port. Quote, "We saw black dots everywhere," he said. "It was impressive." Man, sounds like they kind of are like feral hogs in a sense. So after that, they began working on a plan to cull the herd and implemented the first cull on Wednesday, August 6th. Kennedy said they hired Broken Arrow Ranch at a Kerrville to cull the antelope. Using helicopters and rifles with suppressors, 42 Nilgai were harvested over 4 hours of flying. Broken Arrow staff took care of field skinning, dressing, packing, and hauling the meat. Broken Arrow has been in the business since 1983, specializing in selling wild game meat to select restaurants and people from all over the country. Under a deal worked out between the two parties, the district was paid $1.25 per pound. A full-grown Nilgai can produce about 250 pounds of meat, averaging $312.50 per animal for the district. Nilgai are prized game animals, and hunters pay anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000 for a trophy bull, and about half that for a cow, depending on the place offering the hunt. Well, maybe they ought to consider selling hunts and make a little more money. Kennedy said the goal is to harvest up to 100 of the Indian antelope, but added 80 is a reasonable number. During the last meeting of the WCND, he gave a brief report on the culling. Quote, "This is something we're going to continue doing," he said. "We have noticed a bigger number of Nilgai on the south side." End quote. But the culling is not about population control. Kennedy said it involves a number of agencies and organizations doing research, as blood samples are taken and local university students conduct other tests. Fever tick inspection is also performed on each Nilgai harvested. So far, blood-sucking critters were found in about half of the antelope. Quote, "This is not just about conservation and protecting people and property," Kennedy said. "It's also about doing research. There's a lot about Nilgai we don't know yet." Port Mansfield resident Michael Bauer said he knew about the culling, and asked if it was all right what the district's doing. He responded saying, "If they're a problem, it needs to be done." And yeah, I mean, if they're a problem, definitely it needs to be done. However, why not think of a way to sell those hunts to hunters and earn a little more money? You could probably sell to hunters and give the hunter an option, I guess. This is me just talking about this from a point of ignorance, but you could sell the hunt, say, I don't know, even sell it for $500 for a trophy Nilgai. Well below market, so people might, run down there, so you could actually cull the population significantly. And you can sell $500, even $1,000, which would be half the price, let's say, of a trophy hunt. And then you give the hunter an option to take the meat, or let the county. You just give the meat to the county and let them sell it to this Broken Arrow Ranch for the same amount per pound. Why not do that? And you could make a lot more money. I don't know. I mean, just seems like a interesting option. But what do I know? But that's interesting that the Nilgai are such a pest and nuisance way down there at the Port Mansfield. So just, I don't know. I thought that was something of interest. The next one deals with we talk a series on the podcast, predator hunting, predator strategies. And we always say, look, when it's the off season, or when you're skunked, or any kind of free time maybe that you're not, if you're trying to think about, what can I do down at my land or whatever like that, we always say, go predator hunting, right? And we talk about strategies and how to do that through our predator hunting strategy. Well, this is just an article about some success doing some predator hunting. So let's read about that. At least, during the summertime, when that downtime, that down period between hunting seasons. So summertime predator calling success. It goes, predator management is a crucial step of managing the population of game species. They can wreak havoc on deer, quail, and turkeys, especially in the fawning and hatching seasons, which is another reason to get out there and predator hunt. Whether it's calling, trapping, or snaring, there are various methods for predator control. However, most managers and hunters don't pursue varmints in the summertime. Although the temperatures can make it rough, hunters could be missing out on a great opportunity of helping their game population and getting out hunting between seasons when they can't pursue animals. Brothers Eddie and Charlie Santoya are natives to Carrizo Springs who love the outdoors. At 2 p.m. on a calm, hot summer weekend recently, the boys headed out to a private ranch in Dimmitt County to check on tank levels that were being filled by water wells. And weeks passed, Eddie had great success calling in coyotes and a few bobcats, and decided to make a stand before pulling up to the next tank. Eddie and Charlie parked the truck, grabbed their gun, and headed down to the tank dam shaded by mesquite and ratama tree limbs. While Charlie got the new Savage 17 HMR set up in the bog pod, Eddie walked his Fox Pro X24 out and placed it on the ground about 40 yards away. The boy set up just inside the brush line and sat there in silence for a few minutes before firing up the call. Quote, "I like to use calls that most people don't use for the most part, but during the summer, they're just not pressured. You can call them in with almost anything," Eddie said. And that's another good point. In the summertime, a lot of people aren't doing this. So, great time to do it. He fired up the call, and after a couple of short minutes, noticed some movement on the brush line to the right. The coyote was coming in on a string, so fast it would make getting a shot difficult. Quote, "Charlie, I'm going to bark and stop him. Be ready as soon as he stops. It's going to happen quick." End quote. The coyote was almost on top of the call when Eddie barked. The coyote stopped, and Charlie squeezed off around. The 17 HMR hit the coyote high in the shoulder and dropped it on the spot. The boys high-fived and headed to check out their coyote. Quote, "Less than 3 minutes," Charlie said. "Gotta love it when they do it like that." End quote. The coyote had been taken on their first and only stand. In the middle of the day, 98 degrees. So there you go. It doesn't have to be early morning or evening, winter or spring. 98 degrees in the middle of the day in the summer. And almost non-existent wind. No camo and no chairs. Quote, "You don't need to hunt when everyone says so or use the fanciest gear to have success," Eddie added. "Get out there and enjoy being in the outdoors, even if it's just for a quick stand while chucking tanks with your little brother on the weekend." End quote. Summertime coyotes with pups can be especially hard on deer herds. Several studies have indicated coyotes dramatically impact fawn recruitment. One multi-university study focused on 2,000 acres where 22 coyote and 10 bobcat were removed during the fawning season. The result was a doubled deer fawn population compared to another area where no summertime predator control was performed. Wow, I guess it's kind of anecdotal because you'd need a larger sample set than that, but, the fact remains that it seemed to have worked there. Dr. John C. Kilgo at the U.S. Forestry Service at Savannah River Site in South Carolina conducted one of the largest studies concerning the effects of coyotes on white-tailed deer. 60 fawns were collared and observed. Within the first 6 weeks, 73% of the fawns died. Wow, approximately 80% were killed by a coyote, or of the ones that died, 80% were killed by coyote, 13% were killed by bobcat, and 7% by unknown causes. Well, how interesting. So there you have it. So you kind of have no excuse in the summertime when you're sitting there saying, "Oh, it's too hot, there's nothing to do," to not go out there and call for some predators, and try to take them out. You'll be doing yourself a favor, as it said, by getting rid of something that's going to be eating your turkey egg, turkey poults, your deer fawn, and all that sort of stuff. So you can have fun year-round heading out to your land. Yes, it's hot, but, you'll get over it. Next one, I want to talk about deer corn costs. So, as you know, if you have feeders and you fill them, the cost of corn can go up and down seemingly wildly on a year-to-year basis, of course, because it's a commodity, depending on crop levels and what's going on with the price of corn and whatnot. So let's take a look at what they have to say about this. Prices vary across the state. The search for the most affordable deer corn is on, as the season will be here before you know it. So just a quick aside, Feed Bandit, this podcast, was actually started with the idea originally to help folks like us, hunters like us, find the most affordable corn. That's the genesis of the whole idea of Feed Bandit. Because, what is a feed bandit? Well, feed bandit really is a raccoon, right? An animal or, a critter, varmint that goes up there, climbs up your feeder, spins the spinner, or knocking all the corn out, or protein, all the feed out, and stealing it. Hence the Feed Bandit. So that was the original impetus for Feed Bandit. Of course, we've pivoted and adapted and changed since we started. But, we still say support your local feed store either way. But I'll continue with the article here. Texas is filled with diverse options to feed whitetails, but which would be considered the most reliable and reasonably priced? Well, a simple Google search showed 50-pound bags priced from $7.99 to even $15 across the state. Good Lord, $15. While the market may vary, there is a solution that remains consistent. United Agricultural Cooperative Inc. in El Campo has an advantage they are proud of, as General Manager Seth Stevens shared their secret. Quote, "From the ground to the bag, our high-caliber deer corn is only manufactured by United Ag members," Stevens said. Quote, "Everything is done locally, and because the process is smooth, we do not have to add additional markups." End quote. Stevens said their priority is always the customer and are known to provide phenomenal quality products. Because of their efforts, their deer corn can be found at Buc-ee's in Wharton for $6.95 per 50-pound bag. Not a bad price. Quote, "When you mix local products, our own manufacturer, and our own elevator and bagging plant, we're able to give back into other economies," Stevens said. "Our bags are also see-through because we want customers to know it's a good product before purchasing." End quote. This business aims to serve with 4 storefronts in 3 counties and servicing more than 20, including Orange, Refugio, DeWitt, and Goliad. Quote, "Stay tuned because we have our Fill Your Feeder sale this on Labor Days, where we'll announce the surprise price at 6 a.m. of our deer corn and cottonseed," Stevens said. Oh. 2 pallets to purchase will be the limit, and you will not find a better time to fill your feeder and enjoy this type of sale. Okay, we'll put that on your calendar if you're down here in this area, and you can go to by one of those stores for every Labor Day. The Academy deer corn, Academy Sports and Outdoors deer corn, was priced at $7.99 for 40-pound bags. That was per their website at the beginning of September. Now that's quite a bit more than $6.95 for 50-pound bags. So that just goes to show the big difference in prices. Despite the increase in price and decrease in size, like Academy, Walmart provides 40-pound bags of Cedar Lake premium deer corn marked at $7.62. Still more than that. Another great source to stay up to date on costs would be through online hunting forums. A user shared Clear Fork Country and Graham is selling 50-pound bags for $6.99. As their leader of processing, firearms, and field operations, Jose Gonzalez confirmed. Quote, "All our Wolf City grain corn is triple washed and is one of the cleanest in the area," Gonzalez said. "We are very competitive with our corn because we want to prioritize our customers." End quote. With a new facility that includes an indoor range, archery guns, and feeders, Gonzalez said they take pride in offering great quality corn. Quote, "Our corn bags are water repellent, and we are known to provide the cheapest pallet prices in north central Texas," Gonzalez said. "People drive from Dallas, Lubbock, and even Amarillo to pick up our pallets of corn." Oh, wow. I go all the way to Graham to get it. Must be good corn. So I don't know. Next year or now, if you got it going out to refill your feeders, check out those 2 spots. I'm sure they still have some corn available for you. Might be a good place to look. But the point remains that regardless, if you have a lot of corn to buy, then it might make sense to really kind of call around and figure out where's the best place and the cheapest place that you can get some good quality corn at. Maybe sometime in the future, Feed Bandit will once again provide that service to help you out finding that spot. But until then, you got to do a little research on your own, But it might be worth it. It might be worth your time, especially if you're just killing some time watching TV one night. You can go on there and say, "Hey, next week we're going out to the lease, to the land. You got to fill some feeders. Might as well do a little corn research because you might be able to find a pretty good deal, save some money." All right, this last one I want to go over is I did not know about all this. It's very interesting, but did you know you might be able to find a lease for $1 per acre? That's right. 1 million acres could be available in Texas. Let's go over this article. Texas owners could have another option when it comes to searching out leasable hunting land. The Texas General Land Office is responsible for the oversight and management of permanent school fund land, which is held and managed in a trust for the state public education. Within the Texas General Land Office, the Leasing Operations Division is responsible for the leasing, inspection, and management of the PSF estate. That's the permanent school fund. Leasing activities provide revenue generation for the PSF through the prudent use and protection of the state's natural resources. One area of emphasis the GLO Leasing Operations Division oversees includes the management of surface leases for hunting on PSF lands. According to the Texas GLO Senior Director of Communications, Kimberly Hubbard, PSF tracts for leasing consist of nearly 1 million acres spread throughout the state. The majority of this acreage lies out west within the Trans-Pecos region of the state. Folks can explore PSF land leases by using the GLO Geographic Information System Land and Lease Mapping Viewer that is located at the GLO website. Quote, "This is a useful tool for discovering PSF lands," Hubbard said. "It's a great way for the public to become more familiar with the properties. Land and leases are generated using the upland and coastal easements permits layer. The tutorial provided on the website can help folks navigate and enjoy the information that's available there." Hubbard said hunting leases through the GLO on PSF lands typically run in 5-year terms. They are typically renewed if the lessee prove to be good stewards of the lands and promptly pay the annual negotiated lease fee. Quote, "Our leases tend to follow market rates," Hubbard said. "We also take into consideration the amenities available, ease of access, size of the property, and base the value on per acre basis." End quote. Hubbard said the range of hunting lease fees can vary. Some areas in West Texas may go for less than $1 per acre, while South Texas properties could range from $15 to $20 per acre. She said East Texas properties are usually around $10 or so per acre, but that the rate is rapidly increasing to keep up with the high demand. Quote, "The GLO does not keep a list of lands to be leased, as most lands currently stay leased," Hubbard said. "Occasionally, properties will become available. When feasible, these lands may be opened for sealed public bid. This is typically announced through information listed on the GLO website, as well as through advertisements of the bid opportunity in newspapers in the largest metropolitan areas of the state. If a property becomes open for bidding," Hubbard said, "it is generally available for public viewing for 2 days during the week." Additionally, quote, she's continuing, "Additionally, GLO leasing operations will review all the interested party forms submitted that indicate interest within the specific region of the PSF lands," end quote, Hubbard said. The interested party form for the lease of state surface land can be found on the GLO website along with the surface lease application form. She continues, "All the tracts that are subject to be leased for hunting purposes are considered PSF lands," Hubbard said. "The majority are sovereign lands that never left state ownership. However, the GLO has acquired properties through land trades and purchases over the years." End quote. Royalties from the lease of these lands contribute substantial revenue to the PSF, which help fund public education across the state. Hubbard said the GLO generated over $16 billion from the PSF between 2013 and 2022. Wow. Texas Land Commissioner Don Buckingham said that the GLO oversees and manages around 1 million acres of surface land dedicated to the PSF, with land tracts in over 125 counties across Texas. Well, almost half the counties. End quote. Quote, "I'm committed to generating new revenue for the PSF, which benefits all school districts across the great state," Buckingham said. "One way the GLO upholds the statutory obligation is by issuing surface leases for grazing, hunting, crop production, recreation, timber management, and some commercial purposes. Whether hunters are preserving generational traditions, farmers are growing food for our families, or Texans are enjoying the great outdoors, I'm always searching for innovative ways to ensure state-owned land benefits our school children and their futures." End quote. Well, there you have it. if you're actually in the market for a lease, you can always go find a lease on some private land somewhere, but it may behoove you to go and check out the General Land Office website, and see what's available there. So you go to the GLO Leasing Operations Division, and then you can find their GLO Geographic Information System Land and Lease Mapping Viewer. That's located on the Texas GLO website. Go through there, check it out. And then it looks like there is a layer you add that's called the Upland and Coastal Easements Permits layer. And that'll show you where all the leases are. Cool. And then you can download an application there to tell them, hey, I am interested. So it's another option, another place to go to see where you might be able to find a lease. If you don't, it might be even better to do that if you don't have all the time to go, look at and search for a lot of hunting leases. That might be easier. I'm not sure, but it's another source. So check it out. If anyone uses it and gets a lease from it, let us know. We'd be really interested to see how that process works, and we can communicate that with you, our loyal listener. So really appreciate you listening. Hope you like this little potpourri style episode here. Maybe something in one of these articles got you thinking and or just educated or entertained you as to what's going on in the world of outdoor news. But yeah, I thank you very much for listening. Let someone else know about the Feed Bandit podcast if you got any buddies or anything that would be of interest in this subject matter. Tell them you listen to it. Tell them to check us out. We'd really appreciate it. As I'm actually recording this, I'm wearing the Bloody Arm camp polo that we have. It's a pretty cool looking camp polo that has the flag that flew over Goliad, or the fort at Goliad. And as well, it was the only flag, as I understand it, that flew over the little house at Washington on the Brazos when they signed the Texas Declaration of Independence. But in the end, it's just kind of a cool looking flag. I mean, it's the red severed arm with the sword, signifying defiance, basically defiance to tyrants. So that's why it's a really cool shirt. We have it on white, but then we also have it on black. Both shirts are very cool. So go check those out. We would really appreciate it. If you were to pick something up there at the website, that would greatly help us out. Just either way, thank you so much for taking a look. And with that, I'm going to leave you. We'll see you again tomorrow or on the next episode of the Feed Bandit podcast. Really appreciate it. Remember, support your local feed store. You take care.
Well, I hope the Bandits gave you an interesting episode that either entertained or educated you. Or better yet, both. Hell, I told them this podcasting thing looks harder to do than defeating Santa Anna. So if you would, please help them out by sharing it with all your like-minded friends to help the Bandits get the word out. And don't forget to check us out at feedbandit.com and grab some gear and apparel to support the cause of Texas. Remember, Texas, above all else, preserve the tradition, protect the legacy. Finally, as I said some time ago on the eve of the great battle, and I vigorously repeat here again, be men. Be free men, that your children may bless their father's name. Well, fellow bandit, until next time.